Alrighty, here we are, everybody. Hello and welcome, everybody, to a bit of a late start to the broadcast here in FarGone Racing GT Challenge Season 18. We are here for round 9 at Circuit of the Americas. It is a triple super sprint round, so 3 races tonight, I believe 13 or 18 minutes long. I can't remember. Honestly, I'm a little bit underprepared, but it is my own fault that the stream is late. There's no other reason. I'm a bit of a nonce, if I'm honest. I'll quickly go into an explanation while we watch along with this battle between Steve-O and Maddie, as we've come to expect over these last few races. So, if I'm honest, I was in a meeting about something, and I thought it was Monday night, not Tuesday night. And then I've clocked the time, and then I clocked that it's a Tuesday. And, yeah, I was, off to the races. Bolted into the VC, apologised, and here we are. I've made it just in time to catch the first race of 3, so we haven't missed much. We only missed qualifying action, and by the looks of it, Steve-O managed to snatch the pole position, so that is good to see for Steve-O. Maddie absolutely thrashing him last time I was here in Watkins Glen, but we did have a round in between that where I wasn't here because I was in Sydney. Hold on. We had Spa, in which I believe Steve-O had a mare. So that is about all you need to know for last round, because I believe it would have been Maddie taking the win then, presumably. But anyway, we're here for 3 something minute races. And it's going to Steve-O, Maddie, Eda, Nick, Hoggy, MJ, Speed Racer, Parker, Ninepire, Reaper, Swooper, Ross, Tobasai, Lee Perkins, and Longy on the grid in that order here in race 1. So it is 3 18-minute races with 3 4-minute qualifying. So the format that we saw used in the Nürburgring and I want to say Monza. Yeah, it was Monza where we had the other super sprint round. So welcome into the stream, everybody. Sorry for being hopeless and being late, but anyway, hopefully there should be no difference in the stream outside of missing that first qualifying session and most of the first lap. I do apologise, but anyway, I'm here now. Steve had a race to forget at Spa. Yep, I saw the clip. But anyway, currently it is Maddie chasing down Steve-O as we head down the straight here at Texas, and it is a terrible track in my opinion, but a great track for others. It's a very divided track, but I don't like COTA personally. But I'll only vent my frustrations just a little bit because I can't complain too much considering I was the one that was late tonight. Yeah, that's about it. So we're now going to focus on the racing action. I'm just broadcasting the stream out to everyone, sharing the link into FGR. So, just bear with me a moment, because I'm running late. I'm having to do everything I'd normally do in a couple of moments' time, early on, but... May saying would be a much better track if the track wasn't covered in puddle. Yeah, I mean, obviously it's fast track conditions right now. Need to hire the people who do the surfs for Watkins. Yes, that track is grippy, but yeah, this track is slippery and terrible. But anyway, enough complaining. At least for the first race, you'll hear a lot more of that through the qualifying sessions. So, Circuit of the Americas is the track we're at tonight. I know I already covered that, but anyway, there should be new people coming to the stream. Now that I've shared the link out, Steve-O is getting a bit of a gap to Maddie during this 3rd lap, I believe, or something of the race. Something along those lines. No, I think I joined about 3 laps late. Anyway, the 3rd lap we've been broadcasting of the race. The track condition is fast. It is not optimum, so for such a slidey track, it's going to be even more slidey, which I think is why we're seeing the Mustang of Maddie struggle around just a little bit. But in the background, however, the BMW of Eda Nick and Hoggy are about to engage in wheel-to-wheel combat. Well, not wheel-to-wheel combat just yet, but they are close together. The gap is only 8 tenths between them, so this is going to be an interesting fight between the two V6 cars on the grid as they dive through the hairpin and then up into the twisty third sector. Very tricky, very hard to get right here in Texas. It's just so tricky, especially this long left-hander here. If you brake a bit too late or a bit too early, you won't make the apex. It's a very strange corner and it doesn't like to turn in. And then the triple right, the best corner, well, the best corners of the circuit. And it's just on the limit in a GT3 car. In F1, it's a bit more flat out, but in these cars, it's definitely a skill. Through the penultimate corner, Eden Nick goes. And Hoggy right behind, chasing tail as they round the final corner. That is a lap of Circuit of the Americas. As there is the Hetley cam for you, so we can see this battle in all of its glory. And Nick diving through turn one, very deep there in the BMW. But that's how he elects to take the first corner. And that is one of many ways. You can take it deep and then cut back for a worse exit but a quicker entry. Or you can really open it up and you have to then slingshot as you head down towards the rip-off Maggots and Beckett's. But it looks like all has gone well, as Hug saying, thank God I was busy to avoid this track. Yeah, I, as the broadcaster, was late, so one could have thought I was avoiding a track, but I wasn't. So anyway, down the straight we go once again. BMW versus Ferrari with 4 minutes to go here in race one. And they head down the straight towards the braking zone. I don't think Hoggy's going to be close enough on this attempt. Out the front, Steve-O looks very clear of Matty at the moment. The gap, 1.8 seconds. Any mistake could find him just falling back into Matty, but definitely there is some time to be found for Matty. It looks like she doesn't have the pace over Steve-O just yet, but we have 2 more races for that to change, 2 more qualifying sessions for it to change as well. As Eden Nick taking a lot tighter of a line compared to Hoggy through the triple right, but then he goes out a lot wider there. Maybe a slide it was, though, for that Ferrari as they break into the penultimate corner. Very tricky, very blind over the apex. It doesn't look it from the off-board camera, but it's very undulated at that left-hander, especially in the cockpit. Very, very blind as Hoggy gets a great run on Eden Nick now as they head down towards the first corner. The gap only 3 tenths, and because the uphill at COTA is just so large, it's so steep, you can send it from a long way back, but Hoggy decides not to. Eden Nick darts towards the apex first, and Hoggy still just pushing that BMW through the corners as they head towards the S's of turns 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, I believe, and just flicking it through. You've got to have so much confidence, especially in a GT3 car, to pull this off. It's so tricky, and the curbs are out to get you as well. But then this nice down and then back up, left-right chicane before you head left again. Just clobber that curb. Use all of the exit serrated curb to keep the car going in a straight line. And that is that first sector complete, and now you dive onto the straight. Hoggy goes out very wide, and that leaves Eden Nick safe. If he had gotten a good exit, it could have been game over for Eden Nick, at least on this lap. There is 1 lap to go here in COTA with 2 minutes left. This is the penultimate lap, and Hoggy, who was right up behind, has made a mistake. And that's not the mistake you want to be making either, as the gap was absolutely minuscule until that point. So he's going to be paying for his own mistakes, but we will take a look back to Exiled Reaper, who's racing with Nyan Pyre as they head through onto the straight. And this is going to be Nissan versus BMW, so it's going to be very hard for Nyan Pyre to try and attack, but it could be Very tricky one to pull off here. He's going to have to look left and right, but the BMW not close enough. The straight line speed of the Nissan GTR insurmountable at this stage as they head towards the final lap of this race in Texas. This is race 1 of 3. If you have not been following, this is a triple super sprint format. And what a track to have the super sprint format at. One of the trickiest out there. One of the worst out there as well, but that's also just my opinion. A lot of people adore this place. But it is great for racing. That's the one thing I have to give COTA. A lot of wheel-to-wheel action around here with that massive straight at the back end as well. It's very fascinating, but it also lends its hand into cars like the Mustang, like the GTR, but with these fast track... Oh, it's now optimum track conditions, but when it was fast track conditions, it leaned into those cars not so much. As we head on to the final lap here in Circuit of the Americas, Exiled Reaper is going to be defending from Nye Empire as they head up the hill towards turn 1, towards the braking zone. Wait, no, Nye Empire's gone. I wonder what has happened to Nye Empire, but that is that battle done. Eden Nick is still under pressure from Hoggy. That gap is 0.8 of a second. Meanwhile, the gap up the front is shrinking just a little bit. It was out to 2.3 at one point. It's now back to 1.8 between Steve and Matty. Thus is the optimum track condition showing there, but we will move further up the road to the car number 6 with Steve Reese here leading the way from Matty as they head through the final corner. Steve-O has driven an absolutely wonderful drive. I'm not sure what happened at the start of the race, who started on pole, etc., but I imagine it would be this man in the McLaren, absolutely flying as usual, back to usual form after a poor Spa. Not a particularly poor Watkins, but still a poor Watkins compared to his usual results. He has 4 more corners to negotiate around this lap of Circuit of the Americas, and he will be victorious here in the first of the 3 races in this super sprint race as he heads through the penultimate corner and now braking into the final corner. Steve-O back to winning ways in the car number 6 McLaren. He rounds the final corner and a short run to the line. He is going to be the winner here in race 1 of Circuit of the Americas. He crosses the line to win the Grand Prix. Matty comes home P2. Eden Nick will just about hold on to the P3. It is a drag race to the line, but he's able to keep it from Hoggy, who gets P4. MJ is going to come home in P5 as long as he negotiates the final corner. Well, James Parker is going to come home in that 6th spot. Speed Racer will come home in P7. Lap down behind them, Exiled Reaper will come home in P8 as he rounds the final corner now. Nye Empire will get P9 behind. Oh no, where is Nye Empire on the leaderboard? Maybe a disconnect. The Swooper will come home. P number 9. And Reaper crosses the line, takes the P8. Swooper will get P9. Dave Ross will come home in the P10 spot. He has had a little bit of a spin at the penultimate corner. He's just doing doughies, I guess, before he crosses the line, getting the Mustang going back in a straight line. And P11 for Dave Ross. Lee Perkins in the pits. Longy is driving around the circuit, rounding the penultimate corner now. Longy will come home in P14, the final place on the grid. He'll hopefully be looking to have a better race 2 and 3. Obviously, I don't know the full story as to how he's ended up back there. But anyway, that is going to be race 1 completed here in Circuit of the Americas. 18 minutes under the belt and 2 more 18s to go with 2 qualifyings and 2 warm-ups in between those. So that is your race 1 completed. Longy's still driving around though, for whatever reason. Session should tick over. So, I don't know why the session isn't ticking over. The checkered flag has flown even for Longy. Just ACC. Doing ACC things. There we go. That is the session complete. So, Steve-O takes the win from Maddie, Edenick, Hoggy, MJ, Parker, Racer, Reaper, Swooper, Tobasiah, Ross, Nyanpire, Lee Perkins, and Longy is saying getting some practice in, but also wearing out those limited tyres. Exactly. You only have a limited tyre sets in this 3-race format. I believe you have 2 tyre sets to last you 3 races and 3 qualifying. So you got to be really strategical when it comes to managing what tyre does what. You'd think I'd have an idea of what the ideal strategy is for this sort of format by this point, but I genuinely, every time, I forget what the drivers are doing with their tyres. So, it's an unknown. But I do like this Super Sprint format. It plays out really well. It gives everyone 3 chances.
Green light.
Yeah, I know there's 2 sets, Mace, but I just forget when they're going to use them. Strategy-wise. Anyway, we have a 4-minute warm-up in between sessions like usual in this format. So we'll get the free camera booted up. And a look over the grid as we actually have a Nissan going out in the warm-up. Mental. Oh no. Oh, yep, there we go. That's rough to only one on track and still getting blue flags, yeah. So there's the camera shot of the grid I'm going to leave it with. And as we head through the warm-up session, I am going to yeah, I'm going to just give it a moment. We'll have a break in between these races. And FarGone will be back for racing action in 3 minutes' time. Alrighty, so there we go. That is the cooldown session completed. And qualifying will be underway as we get rid of the free camera and we get ready for racing action again here in the circuit of the Americas, qualifying 2. And the second qualifying of 3 tonight is underway. We missed the first one, so this is our first look into qualifying around here. Maddie will be the second car out of the pit lane. It's going to be Steve Reese, who is the first car out of pit lane like normal in these triple header qualifyings. We always see Maddie and Steve-O the first ones off the gate, and Steve-O will be the first car we ride with here in qualifying 2. We'll do the first lap with Steve-O, the second lap with Maddie. Actually, is there even time? No, you only get 1 lap around COTA. The lap is too long, I believe. So actually, we got to pick who we are going to go with. It will be Steve-O. We'll do Maddie for the final qualifying session. So, Steve Reese just warming up the tyres, but he can't scrub them, so he's not going to be weaving. Just be using the brakes, and he's also got to push still to make the flag at COTA. So, he's just going to be driving at a mild pace, I would imagine, to get some temp and pressure into the tyres. You probably got to overinflate them a lot, as he is actually weaving, which I didn't expect to see. So we'll get the telemetry up for qualifying, and we'll go on board with Steve-O as he gets ready to go for a lap in the McLaren. I'll walk you through a lap of Circuit of the Americas with as little experience as I have in a GT car around here. I'm sure that my other experiences in other cars will allow me to bumble a lap around here in the comms box. So he's just got one more sector to go here, or half of one more sector to go here before he begins his final onboard lap here in qualifying. So here we go. Steve Reese, the car we're on board with here for the second qualifying tonight. We missed the first one, so this is the first qualifying lap of the night that we will be seeing here in FGR. As he rounds the final corner, Steve-O begins his flying lap here at the Circuit of the Americas. So flat out of the final corner, all the way up the hill, you're going to be spotting a black board on the right hand side. That is where you're going to slam on the anchors, use the ABS down to first gear, get it tipped in early for the apex, and open up the exit flat out as you now head down the hill through turn 2, completely pinned to the floor. And now the rip-off Maggots and Beckett's S's here at Circuit of the Americas, flat out through the left, and then brake for the right, brake again for the left. You've got to have the car confident underneath you before you head through this double right-hander, a long trail braking zone, but you can't brake a lot. A dub of the brake, second gear, flick it across, power down, and then you flick it across again for the right left. Easy for the car to hook in here. There's a lot of undulation. The car loves to stay gripped up there. Just a half lift through the left-hand kink before you go flat out down the hill, before you head slightly back up it for the braking zone into the hairpin before you head onto the straight. So you've got to get this exit right. It is critical corners for the lap here, the end of that first sector. And now flat out all the way down this absolutely massive straight. If the sun is at the wrong point in the straight with the time of day, it is blinding. But here in ACC, at the time of day we have, it's not super blinding before you get on the curb for the hairpin at the end of the straight. First gear, get across, tag the curb on the inside, power out before you cut across to the left to open up the third sector, which begins now. First gear through the right. It is a double right-hander. You got to get the power down nice and safely without losing out too much time through that right before braking, keeping it out just a little bit wider to take a late apex to open up the run towards the triple right-hander. As you go out to the left-hand side curb, completely flat out through the first apex, lift for the next two, flat out again, while you head all the way to the right, down the hill, and then cut back across. Third gear for the blind left-hander. It's not visible from the onboard that it's blind, but in the cockpit cam, it is. First gear for the final corner, braking on the rubber at the right-hand side, crossing the line now. Steve Reese, what's his time going to be in qualifying? 2-minute 5.7. What is Maddie going to do? 2-minute 5.8. Nobody else is yet to set a lap time. James Parker is heading through the third sector now. He is pushing along here in the car 216 Aston Martin. He had a pretty strong race 1. I believe he came home inside the top 10 I think top 8. So the Aston pushing its way through the final sector. And Parker is on a reasonable lap by the looks of it. From what we've seen, as Maddie is currently P2, Longy is P3. A lot of other drivers in the pits invalidating, which is super easy to do here at Circuit of the Americas. Track limits are absolutely brutal around here. And rounding the final corner goes James Parker. And as he crosses the line now, it is P4 for the Aston Martin. So your final qualifying order is Steve Reese, Maddie, Longy, Parker, Hoggy, Swooper, Speed Racer, MJ, Reaper, Nyan Pyre, Eda Nick, Topasai, Lee Perkins, Dave, Ross. So that is qualifying complete here for race 2 in Circuit of the Americas. Now we get ready for the main event for race 2 itself. So qualifying will just come to an end in a moment's time. But Steve Reese taking the pole position here with only one purple sector. But it was the purple sector where it counted 3/10 over Maddie in that final sector when all of the other sectors were pretty much matched. And that meant he got pole by 1/10 and a bit of a second. And Maddie will be behind him, well, alongside him, more of the point, for the race start. As we've seen so many times this season, those two seem locked wheel to wheel, as it is wet conditions. It is Monza all over again, ladies and gentlemen. Monza, we saw the wet conditions in the Super Sprint, but it was for race 1. And now for race 2 in Circuit of the Americas, it is raining. And I did not see that coming at Texas. Rain is not very common around here, but we've got the rain pouring down. The old man must be snoring. And hopefully that doesn't give you any indication of what Steve-O's race is going to be like. Because as it goes, he's meant to bump his head on the back of the bed, but that is implying that he is the old man, in which I feel bad for, but he'll get a good laugh out of it, I'm sure. As Tash has made an appearance, how did race 1 go? Maddie got P2, Steve-O got P1. I have a spider on my desk. Oh, shit. Oh no, there's a spider on my desk. I'm pooing my pants. Anyway, it was Steve-O, Maddie, and Eda Nick on the podium for race 1. Oh, where's the spider? Oh no, he's hiding. Anyway, 30 seconds. Yeah, it was a good... Oh god, I think he's hiding my mouse pad. Anyway, if I die, it's here on stream, right? Anyway, it was a good race 1, but I was late. I missed like the first 5 minutes. I honestly thought it was Monday night. Give it the boot. Well, I tried to just flick it away because I don't have a boot next to me because I'm in a separate room. Get him on comms. Get the spider on comms, mate. That would be comical. Anyway. Hopefully I don't get bitten while I commentate. Steve Reese alongside Maddie here for the second qualifying, for the second race here in the wet conditions. They will be on slick tyres. It is not that wet in Monza. It was slicks in the wet conditions. I imagine we're going to see something similar here as the green flags get ready to fly in Texas for the second time tonight as they cross the line and the green flags are going to wave. Not as early as I thought. Now, the green flag is flying, the green lights are illuminated, and we are go, 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 go here in Circuit of the Americas. Maddie has a good run. She's trying the long way round on Steve-O. There's not going to be a lot of grip down here at turn 1. Meanwhile, in the mid-pack, it looks like everybody is holding up okay at the moment. Hoggy. Oh no, Maddie's been tapped around. Maddie has been hit. That is crucial for this race. Maddie got tapped by Longy, and that is a poor bit of racecraft, but that is the slicks in the wet. Look at everybody sliding around the racetrack. There is no grip here in Circuit of the Americas at all. Maddie trying to make up places after being tapped around, but that is going to be the Aston Martin of Parker down the inside. Maddie on the outside. She gets the inside for the next complex. The Mustang understeering this contact, and now Speed Race is going to get involved as well. A chaotic lap 1 going on here in Circuit of the Americas. Oh no, that Speed Racer spun around, hitting the side of the Ferrari of Lee Perkins, and that is a huge crash. We don't need a replay for that one. What we need is to go further towards the front. Longy in P2 from Steve-O as they push down the straight. A lot of people will be going down the straight. They are 2.8 seconds clear of Hoggy, Parker, and Maddie, who are in a train. Parker might not be done with Maddie just yet as they head down towards the hairpin at the end of the straight, but he's not going to go for it. But Maddie is now going to be on a charge. She got tapped half around by Longy, and she's lost the P2 spot because of it. And just look at the low grip conditions around here, and what is already a low grip circuit. Slicks in the wet is the karting way, not the race car way, but it's a true test of precision and car control. We saw it in Monza. Was a lot easier though, as there's not a lot of corners at Monza. This is one of the hardest tracks in the world, and they're on slicks in the wet. It is going to be a tricky challenge to topple here in FarGone Racing. And this is what COTA can bring to the cards racing-wise. Maddie squirming around on the rear. She's right up behind Hoggy. She makes a mistake under braking. Parker trying to capitalise. Goes to the inside of the final corner. It's going to be Parker through on Maddie now. Lee Perkins bombs it up the inside as well. Maddie chasing and falling all at the same time. She's going to be side by side with Lee Perkins as they head down towards turn 1. She has not had a good first lap. She's dropped from second all the way down to 5th place. Meanwhile, Hoggy and James Parker go side by side through turn 1. Hoggy backs out of it, and that is going to be Parker up into P3, and now Maddie has Hoggy to hunt as they head through the end of the first sector now. They have the S's. This is the hardest part on a wet racetrack. Super easy to go off and cut the track on that big painted runoff area. Maddie makes a mistake, but she now gets the cut back on Hoggy after the mistake. It helped her open up the exit. She's alongside Hoggy as they head up the hill through the chicane. The track is now damp. There's going to be a lot more grip even than the first lap. It's a lot less slick, and the tyre pressures will be slowly rising in these GT3 cars as they wrestle around. The spray kicking up in their faces. Maddie has a great run as they head down towards the hairpin, but so does Lee Perkins as they head towards the braking zone. Who's going to get through on who? Maddie on the inside of Hoggy as they head onto the straight. It's going to be Mustang V8 versus Ferrari V6 Power as they head down the straight now. Maddie alongside, and surely she can inch ahead here ever so slightly with the extra straight line speed the Mustang provides. They're racing as they head down towards the braking zone at the end. Towards the braking now. Lee Perkins is now going to get a nose in as well. Lee runs very deep, manages to avoid contact with the both of them, doesn't gain a place. Maddie up on Hoggy, and now she has to chase Parker for the podium, and then Longy for the P2. We're only a couple of minutes in, but it has been an absolutely chaotic start, and that is what these conditions bring to the table. Racing here in COTA is absolute carnage as is, and it's just accelerated even more as they head now through the final sector as Lee Perkins trying the long way round of the infamous triple right-hander. Oh no, I think that is Hoggy potentially being tapped round by the other Ferrari of Lee Perkins. Lee Perkins letting him back through. Hoggy is now towards the back. Maddie doesn't have to worry about pressure from behind anymore, but Hoggy definitely does with the Honda of MJ hot on the heels. But Hoggy should have more pace here in Circuit of the Americas. So it's going to be, the order is Steve-O, then Longy, then Parker, and then Maddie, who is 3 seconds behind Parker. It's going to be a chase down, but Maddie has the pace to do it. Eda Nick is in a nice little 3-way, 4-way, 5-way scrap here in Circuit of the Americas. It's Eda Nick, and then Tobasai, Hoggy, MJ Perkins behind him for this battle, so anybody who makes a mistake is going to be severely punished in this train. But what you want to not do is be Lee Perkins and make a mistake at the back of this train. So he has to keep the car going in a straight line. But you can see there's not a lot of spray kicking up anymore. The track is well and truly drying out here. I think we'll see greasy track conditions before the end of this 18-minute race as they head down the hill into the second sector. Now Tobesai struggling to stay on the tail of Eda Nick here. And we've seen Eda Nick had great pace in race 1, picking up a podium. So it is going to be very entertaining to see if he can pull away. But in the meantime, we'll go to Hoggy, who's under pressure from Lee Perkins. These two made contact at the triple right-hander earlier on in this race. But it looks like their racing days together aren't over just yet, as they're going to go side by side down towards the braking zone as well. That's a big wobble under the braking there. Hoggy is going to get overtaken by Lee Perkins. It's Ferrari versus Ferrari. It's even playing field here. This is purely a driver scrap here. This is pure car control from the both of them. Lee Perkins in the car 33 gets past the 42 car. This battle is far from over yet. In the background, MJ getting very squirrely. And this is such an entertaining midfield fight. And I think up the front it's also pretty close. The gap between Steve Reese and Longy is 0.8 of a second. But this is still the battle I want to be watching. Hoggy drifting the triple right. Lee Perkins off onto the slick stuff. The paint very slippery in the grip department here in the rain. But that is Hoggy slipping around as well towards the apex. And that is absolutely phenomenal stuff from Hoggy and Lee Perkins to keep their Ferraris going in a straight line, which is what they've done to an absolute perfection. As we go up towards the front, Steve-O and Longy having a Titanic scrap. I did not catch this at all. I thought the gap was 0.7. No, it's 1/10 of a second. It's going to be McLaren versus Mustang, but it's not the McLaren versus Mustang combo we were expecting to see. We're expecting to see Steve-O versus Maddie round number 2, but it's going to be Steve-O versus Longy. The Mustang looking very comfortable here around Circuit of the Americas. Longy was at the back of the field for a reason that I did not manage to catch in race 1, and now he's back with a vengeance here with 10 minutes to go in this Circuit of the Americas race. It's going to be the straight line speed of the Mustang versus the cornering of the McLaren, a combo we're used to seeing so many times this season, and not just in FGR, in any other ACC league on the planet. You see a McLaren and Mustang going at it with their different strengths and weaknesses, but at COTA it looks very balanced, which is not something I thought I'd see myself saying this season. But the Mustang and McLaren look balanced around Circuit of the Americas, at least in the hands of Steve-O, Longy and Maddie. Those Mustangs and McLarens look fairly close together, but you never know. There could be driver differences and other bits relating to that. But Longy definitely in the fight here. Steve-O has 9.5 more minutes to hold on, and we are going to go on board with Longy for an onboard lap in the Ford Mustang GT3 car as he chases down Steve-O. I will just let you listen to this V8 roar as this Titanic race continues on. What a first little bit of this race it's been. We are nearly halfway through, and this is just a snippet of what's left in this race. So it was about here. We went on board with Longy last lap around, and that is an onboard lap completed with Longy. And once again, the curse has been completed with the onboard. Every time I go on board with a driver, he's chasing the car in front. They manage to mess it up in some capacity, but James Parker has made a mistake there, and that is Maddie up onto the podium places, and that is charge complete. I don't think that she is going to be able to catch Longy in the grand scheme of things. The gap is 4.5, no. It is even bigger. The gap is absolutely huge. Hold on. The gap between Maddie and Longy is about 5 seconds. So that in 6 minutes is pretty much insurmountable without Longy making an absolutely titanic error. Steve-O is now 2 seconds out in the lead from Longy. So Steve-O managed to find the pace now that the track is drying up even more as we continue on here in COTA. And he's just finding his feet as this goes on. Maddie is going to probably have to settle with a P3 at a critical mistake from the leaders. But I don't think she's going to be disappointed at all with the recovery drive. And she still has race 3 to try and take a win here in COTA. She didn't get it in race 1, but now she has a race 3 to do it. But still, 2 podiums in a row is nothing to slouch about at all. She will be quite pleased after being tapped around by, I believe it was Longy, to be able to get this one, as car number 5 has had a moment. That is MJ, who has had a moment. So we'll get a replay of what has happened. We need to know. Here we go. Towards the S's, the Honda goes. The NSX GT3 Evo. Damp track. Slippery car, and the Honda hits the curb. No, that's not what caused it. Just a little bit too much speed carried in the wet conditions. Looped MJ around, no wall, and he manages to get it back going again. And that is what happens if you're not careful here around COTA, especially in the nature of these conditions. So easy to have an off, and that is what is being shown, especially here in race 2. These mixed conditions, tricky as you could imagine. It's even worse in the cockpit. You're fighting for your life out here when the track is like this. But a battle that hasn't ceased despite the tough conditions is Hoggy versus Lee Perkins. They will continue to battle away all the way until the end of time, it feels like. And Perkins is out in front of Hoggy. They have been battling all race. The track is now officially greasy condition. And despite that, Perkins makes a mistake, which invites Hoggy right up behind him. He goes defensive all the way to the left-hand side here as they have a run down towards turn 1. 296 versus 296. Will Hoggy go down the inside? No, he's going to play patient. Lee Perkins just dives towards the apex, and he's gone off again. He's had a nightmare here in the, I believe, the penultimate lap of this Grand Prix. If we look at Steve-O's position on the track, we'll have to keep an eye on Steve-O to see whether or not this is going to be the penultimate lap. It is going to be a close one, but I think it will be. And Lee Perkins loses out the place to Hoggy, but I'm sure, considering the run of form we've seen from these two this race, they will end up wheel to wheel again at some point in this race, with 3.5 minutes to go here in the second race. And what a race this has been, and it's still not over. There's still another race to go, and 2, this race is far from over. Is actually Longy's made a crucial mistake. I don't know what he's done, but I cursed it. I said Maddie can't catch up unless Longy makes an absolutely huge mistake here in the final couple of laps, and it looks like he might have, just as Maddie has arrived on the scene for the P2 fight, and Longy actually lets Maddie go. I'm not sure if it was intentional or a bad choice of line, but that is Maddie up into P2 from nowhere. She had 5 seconds to climb. I said that was insurmountable. I've been proven wrong. And that is going to be Maddie up into P2. She probably won't catch Steve-O as they round the final corner. And because of the way the timing's gone, Steve-O's going to cross the line now with 2 minutes... 2 minutes 8 to go when he crosses the line. But this is the penultimate lap, so we're going to go 2 minutes into the 0-0s on the final lap. That is generational stuff, unless Steve-O holds up for the 0 seconds at the line to get one less lap here at Circuit of the Americas. But Matty closed 6 seconds to Longy and now gapped him by 2 seconds. So Longy's all over the place. Just look there. He's off the track. Maybe he's just cooked his tyres. There's so many factors here as Hoggy has ran away from Lee Perkins. So I think this is the perfect opportunity just to stay with our race leader as the race finally has a lull period. The racing action never stopped here in race 2. Except for, I believe this is going to be the penultimate lap, not the final lap, unless Steve-O does a public service and slows down to let it tick to 0, which I don't think he'll do, unless he's tight for fuel. But a minute 10 seconds to go in the lap, and what a race it's been by Steve-O. He had a commendable battle with Longy earlier on, but as the track got drier and drier and drier, he got more comfortable and managed to pull away from Longy, and then that invited Maddie from a comeback charge back up into P2 where she started after being half tapped around by the car she re-overtook. Steve-O has driven an absolutely phenomenal one here as it gets darker by the second here in Circuit of the Americas. The Texan circuit looking very, very dark at the moment, but these GT3 cars have lights and it's not midnight night, it's just dark. Darker than you'd expect at Circuit of the Americas. Normally their racing is done earlier on in the morning. Steve-O rounds the triple right-hander. Is he going to wait for the line? I doubt it. So with 15 seconds left on the clock, he rounds the penultimate corner. Let's see if he wants to do one more. He rounds the final corner now. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. No, the leader starts the final lap. He crossed the line with 2 seconds to go. Oh my god. Steve-O is a troll. Oh, that's mean. Anyway, so Steve-O begins one last lap here around Circuit of the Americas. Oh, I thought we were going to be done for race 2. Anyway, he has 5.513 kilometers of racetrack ahead of him, and now is the time where I should spit out some facts about this racetrack. So 5.513 kilometers in distance. There is 20 corners around Circuit of the Americas. The race lap record is not really a fair comparison considering we're not in F1 cars, but it was a 136.169 by Charles Leclerc in his 2019 Ferrari SF90. The Austin track was built in 2012. It was finished in 2012 and opened on October 21st, 2012 before hosting the first F1 race around there. It's in the middle of basically a barren wasteland. Not really, but it's basically in the middle of nowhere. If you look at a drone shot of Circuit of the Americas, you can't really see much around the circuit. But they have artificially made it very undulated. It makes a character of a circuit, to say the least. It's one of the most anticipated Grand Prix of the year in Formula 1. But Steve-O has managed to topple it, and he takes the second race victory as well with one more corner to go. Steve-O drove a brilliant race, and he's going to round the final corner and take the victory in race 2. If he wins race 3, he could pull off the triple win here in the Super Sprint format, which we have not seen yet this season. 2N failed it, Matty failed it, and now it looks like Steve-O has a big chance at it as Matty crosses the line to take P number 2. Longy is under a bit of pressure from Parker, but he's going to cross the line and get P number 3 to round up the podium. And then Parker comes home in P4 with Eda Nick behind him. Hoggy is going to come home in the P6 spot after absolutely disappearing away from Lee Perkins, who's under pressure from Speed Racer as they head into the final corner. But if Lee Perkins doesn't spin the car, he will pick up a nice little P number 7. Speed Racer will get P8 here in Circuit of the Americas. MJ, after a spin earlier on in the race. We'll get P number 9, Swooper, is going to come home in P10. So here comes MJ in the Lucky Strike 106, which is the cover car for this Circuit of the Americas round. You would have seen it during the stream starting soon. Swoop around the final corner to get P10. Exiled Reaper is still got a couple of corners to go here, and that'll be the last card across the line, as I believe Dave Ross is not out on the race. No, Dave Ross is out on the racetrack, so he'll be the last card across the line. Exiled Reaper, though, one of the last cars to cross the line here in Circuit of the Americas rounding. Oh, wow, that's good to keep that out of the wall. Rounding the penultimate corner. One final corner to go. And he crosses the line now, pretty much, to take the P11 spot. And it will be Dave Ross who will get the P12 here in Circuit of the Americas as he rounds the penultimate corner. And then one more to go at the final corner. And that is race 2 officially under the wrap sheet. And your final results in Circuit of the Americas are Steve Reese taking a commanding victory. Maddie with the good recovery and fastest lap for P2. Then you have Longy, Parker, Edenick, Hoggy, Lee Perkins, Speed Racer, MJ, Swooper, Exiled Reaper, Dave Ross, Tobasiah, and Nyan Pyre. So that is race 2 completed. We are now about to head into the lovely warm-up before we go into the third qualifying session of the night. Tash saying, well, I had a fact for you too, but apparently the thing about how you eat 7 spiders in your sleep in your lifetime is just a myth, so never mind. That's a great thing to say when I have a spider crawling around on my desk, you know? That doesn't make me stressed at all, but I know that was the intention because you're evil. Tash is the #1 supporter and the #1 evil person in the chat. But trust me, I speak no lies. Anyway, we'll get the whole grid shot again. As Maddie's car will be the first one out on display there. Ferrari trying to look cool, popping its nose out. So it's Maddie, Steve-O, and then Speed Racer, the first 3 cars you see on the camera shot. Then it's Swooper, Edenick, Tobasiah, Parker, Hoggy, and from there, can I see the Lucky Strike Honda? And then from there, I can't see anybody else left on the grid from this shot. But I'm going to be quiet as I prepare for race 3. I hope you enjoyed race number 2 and the second qualifying, as we now get ready and gear up towards third qualifying and the final race of the night here in COTA. I've officially decided that Tash is evil because she actually knew perfectly what I was doing during that break. So please stop. May say gonna give the poor guy nightmares. Probably. Any anyway. Anyway. We are underway here for the third qualifying session of the night, and I did say that I was going to stay with Maddie because we went with Steve-O in the second qualifying, but Maddie is not exiting the pit lane. What is going on? No, Maddie turns on the light, so Maddie is going to be the car we stay with here in qualifying. I know there'll be a lot of lap times pumped in, but I'll keep you updated on those. While Maddie is on her lap, we'll stay on board once she starts her flying lap, but we will stay off board with Maddie as she gears up for her first flying lap. It is night time here in Circuit of the Americas. I said it was getting dark in race 2. Well, it is officially pitch black here in Circuit of the Americas. The lights are on and the track is fast. It was raining in the little warm-up before the third qualifying, but it dried up. It is fast track conditions, so not grippy at all. It is not what the Mustang likes at all, but considering what they've all been dealing with, I'm sure that a fast track will be more than appreciated at this point, and the lap times won't be as quick as we saw in the second qualifying session, or probably the first. I'm not sure what the conditions were like in the first qualifying session because I was late, but anyway. Yeah, I'm sure the lap times are still going to be alright. The track is very, very cool. It is 19 degrees ambient and 19 degrees track touch. Oh, I'm pretty sure he only gets nightmares about the Mustang being underbobbed. Oh, it's so true. So true. Actually, I think of all the tracks I've seen so far, I think the Mustang isn't. Let's just put it this way. I don't know if it's driver or car, but at least tonight in FarGone, it looks like the Mustang and McLaren are pretty fairly balanced in COTA. So I'll give them that. I'll give them that, but not much more. But anyway, Steve-O's began his first flying lap. He's running up to turn 1. Maddie is getting ready for her flying lap. So we'll now get the onboard camera activated. And we'll just do a full onboard lap with Maddie in the dark. I'm going to turn the HUD off completely, and I'm just going to shut up, because normally if it was daytime I'd commentate the lap, but I already did one. Let's change it up. Let's change it up. Completely blank. Hot lap with Maddie. Enjoy, everyone. Listen to that American V8 around this American circuit. So that has been a lap with Maddie. She has 1 corner to go. Currently provisional pole position is a 2:07.7 from Steve Reese. Will Maddie be able to get pole here in race 3? She crosses the line. 2:07.5. Maddie takes provisional pole position. There's not many cars left to complete their laps. We'll move to... who are we going to move to? No, I think everybody's setting their laps now. Yeah, everybody's returning back to the pit lane. Eden Nick, who is about to cross the line. So Maddie is going to be your pole sitter unless Eden Nick pulls the lap of his life. He crosses the line now, and it's going to be P2 for Eden Nick. It is the lap of his life, but it is not quite enough. And Maddie, with a 2:07.5, takes pole position for race 3 in Circuit of the Americas. But look at how close that was. It is a singular hundredth between Maddie and Eden Nick. Eden Nick will be absolutely ecstatic with that. Steve-O starts on the 2nd row here in Circuit of the Americas from an unexpected turn of events. I thought it was going to be another Steve-O or Maddie pole, and it was. But Eden Nick definitely throwing a spanner into the works. I did not see that one coming at all. But that is a great lap from Maddie, a great lap from Eden Nick, and a great lap from Steve-O, and then the others are at least 1.6 seconds back or more. So now, after an interesting qualifying session that saw Eden Nick back towards the top like we saw in race number 1, we'll see how it goes in Circuit of the Americas as we are back on the grid and ready to go racing again here in FarGone. So we get the helicam ready, but Maddie with a astonishing lap. But I would genuinely say that more impressive is Eden Nick, because he has not been fighting that far up the front all season. But here at Circuit of the Americas, he seems to click, and that is probably the lap of his life right there to get P2 here in FarGone. Really happy for him, and let's see how he holds on to that in the race. MJ also getting P4. Is a massive highlight. That qualifying session, definitely really interesting. As the track is fast at this point. I think in qualifying it was green all the way through, but it does steadily improve. But even still, that's half a lap's difference. So really, Eden Nick wasn't that far back from the others, and that is still a good lap from Nick. He only crossed the line a couple seconds after Maddie, you've got to take note. So it can't be too much track improvement, but probably a bit, definitely. But still a great lap to hook it up in changing conditions. Alrighty, so here we go. 2 seconds until we get underway for race number 3. Maddie and Eden Nick running your front row here. We know that Maddie is a bit infamous for her poor starts this season with the way the Mustang gets off the line. Steve-O right behind her still has a great shot at getting into the lead by the end of turn 1. With the launches he gets, and also how deep turn 1 is at COTA. We've seen it many years in F1 in the past, since 2012 in that inaugural Grand Prix, where the car in P2 or P3 ends up leading just from an astonishing dive bomb, or just even a normal send at turn 1. But it's all to find out. Maybe even Eden Nick in a turbo BMW, which normally gets poor starts, could still somehow get a good start. We'll have to see as the green flags get ready to fly, and the green lights are about to illuminate. And we get ready to go racing. They cross the second line. The green flag is flying, and we are underway here for racing in FarGone. Steve-O gets a great start, but doesn't go up the inside of Matty, despite being given the opportunity. Matty defending the inside. Eda Nick trying it the long way round, and he's got the inside for turn 2, and it's Eda Nick inching in front of Matty for the lead, and Matty is now under pressure from Steve-O. In an interesting turn of events, Eda Nick is leading the Grand Prix here in FarGone for the third race, and Steve-O nearly got the move done on Matty there on the outside, but he backed out of it as to not cause a scene and not cause an accident, and that is great stuff from Eda Nick to go the long way round to turn 1, get the inside for turn 2 and take the lead, but how long can he hold on to it with the 2 quickest drivers in FarGone chasing tail? How well will Eda Nick be able to handle the pressure? He's 18 minutes ahead of him, and I'm not sure how long he's going to be able to hold on to this one. Steve-O is going to be chasing tail. He wants to go for 3 in a row ideally here, but with the cooler conditions, this could help Matty's tyre wear, and we don't know what the tyre strategy is like either. We don't know who's on old tyres. We don't know who is on new tyres. Will Steve-O be able to go 3 for 3? Will Matty be able to disrupt it, or maybe even Eda Nick? It is all the questions that you have to be asking, but you've got to stick around to find out. Lee Perkins overshoots the braking in the background there. It goes off the circuit in towards the third sector, and this is a 4-car train, but MJ struggling to hold on to the back of Steve-O, so it's going to be a 3-car train in the top 3 here. Eda Nick, Matty, and Reese being your top 3 as we enter towards the end of the first lap here in race 3. It is 11:09 p.m. in game time. It's not far off the actual time for me here in Sydney, or closer to Newcastle, but still New South Wales / Melbourne time, 10:57 p.m. And for people in Victoria, it'll be 9:57. People in Adelaide, something, I think 10:27. But anyway, we won't get into the time zones now. It's not the time, but it is pretty late in game and in Australia, and Matty is going to have to drive at the peak of her performance, as on the exit of turn 1, a little bit wide there, and Eda Nick holding on actually a little bit longer than I thought. I thought it was going to be a turn 1 and done, and then an overtake back down to the hairpin, but Eda Nick is proving that he has the pace to back it up here in Circuit of the Americas. Maybe a fresh set of boots on that BMW, which is causing this. Maybe Matty and Steve are both on used tyres. This could be a shock race winner here in race 3, and it's really good to see other people getting into the mix, because we're so used to seeing this Zoomies car and that white car number 6 just battling away constantly for the race win. So it's good to see someone else into the mix for a change, and Eda Nick is actually pulling a bit of a gap. Currently, the gap between Eda Nick and Matty is 0.8 of a second, so that is extending compared to what it was at the start of the lap. So Nick definitely has the pace here in COTA under the lights with the fast track conditions. The BMW likes the less grip conditions because it's such a stable car. It can handle them very, very well. And with a slippery Mustang and a poor brakes McLaren, these all could be factors why Matty does just look, and Steve-O just look the exact same pace as Eda Nick right now. And you've got to wonder whether this is pure pace or tyres. Those are the questions that I normally ask after the race. But you just have to make your predictions in chat as to what the strategy looks like right now. But will Matty or Steve-O be able to take the win? Steve-O will desperately be hunting for it. He will want to go 3 for 3. Nobody's done it so far this season. Steve-O managed to disrupt Tuan's triple in the Nürburgring super sprint round. In Monza, it was Matty who got her super sprint triple win taken away from her by Steve-O, I want to say, maybe Longy. So now we, in the final super sprint round of the season, see the opportunity for a Grand Slam, pretty much. I mean, it's not the definition of a Grand Slam, leading every lap and getting pole position, etc., but pretty much what is a slam dunk here in FarGone GT Challenge Season 18 in a super sprint round. Winning all 3 is absolutely massive for the championship as well, and Matty has had a very strong season, and so is Steve-O. So Steve-O getting all 3 wins would be crucial for the championship and just make it that much harder for Maddie. I'm not actually sure what the standings are looking like, so let me take a look. How about that? That'd be probably intelligent. Results. We'll take a look at some results, see if the standings are on there. Yeah, so Maddie won in Spa, so the triple win here for Stevo would be huge. I wish I knew what the standings were. So as they head through the final sector here in COTA, Maddie still chasing Eda Nick, who must be on fresh tyres, as he has not been the quickest all night. But suddenly here in race 3, he's come alive in the BMW, which is not a car you would expect to be fighting at the front, especially around Circuit of the Americas. Stevo, once again, not having the pace to try and battle Maddie. He's falling off away from the P2 car just a little. It's the opposite to what it has been the first 2 races. Maddie has been the one with the pace. Stevo, no, wait. Sorry. My words are not working. It's what happens when my dad was standing behind me. And now he's gone. What? He's a magician. Where is he gone? Anyway. Yeah, my dad walked in and I didn't know what to say, and then Anyway. It's the opposite to what we've seen. There we go. That's what I was trying to say, but I was mixing up the driver. So we have seen Stevo quicker than Maddie in the past 2 races. I think. I think. I'm kind of losing my bearings here. I'm a bit tired. Anyway. But now we're seeing Maddie. Well, I was saying Maddie was a little bit quicker than Stevo. But here we are. Steve Reese about to attack Maddie as they head towards the straight here at Circuit of the Americas. Wow, that was late on the brakes there from Steve Reese. He's hiding somewhere in your desk next to the spider. Yeah, probably. You've just reminded me that there's a spider crawling around. Anyway. Yeah, Stevo trying to put the pressure on to Maddie as they head down towards the hairpin. They're 8 minutes into this race. And it looks like Eda Nick could be the car to take this. Reese needs to get a move on to try and get past Maddie and chase down Eda Nick, because right now it looks like Maddie is not going to get it done here, despite taking pole position in a nighttime qualifying session in a very slippery track. Eda Nick got P2, and right now is pulling away from the 2 who we are seeing battle for the championship. As actually, that's what I was trying to talk about. The championship. So the overall championship right now, Maddie... Wait. No, that's the round 8 results. Here is the championship standing. So it's Maddie on 2,008 points, with Stevo on 1,909. So that is the championship battle, with 1 round to go after this one. So we head to Bathurst for a 70-minute enduro next week for the final race of the season in FarGone Racing GT Challenge. And right now, it is going to be airtight between those 2. I'm not sure what the point system is or anything along those lines, but Maddie right now, the one leading the championship, despite putting herself down all season saying that she isn't as quick as Stevo, but she has been incredibly consistent, and that has got her in the championship lead right now. But with Stevo having 2 wins under his belt so far tonight, I wonder what the championship will be looking like going into the final round. But don't you worry, I'll definitely have that one known and sorted out going into the final race. But I'm sure it is going to be airtight and come down to the final minutes of the 70-minute race at Bathurst. But we do know that the Mustang is just slightly OP at Mount Panorama, but the McLaren definitely no slouch either, as Stevo overshoots the corner goes off the track. You can see the headlights off in the background there. How much time did he lose to Maddie? I'd say it's about a second. And yeah, he is outside a second of Maddie. And Eda Nick pulling away again. So there's 8 minutes to go. We are 10 minutes into this race. And Maddie currently looking like she has not got the pace to catch Eda Nick. But Steve-O's just not able to get past. A P2 would be good for a championship here. Despite good results in each of the races, Steve-O will still be closing in. So beating him in at least one of them will be good. Eda Nick also has the fastest lap of the race currently with a 2:07.265. So he is clearly the quickest car out on the track at the moment. So I think this is probably down to tyre strategy, but still very impressive from Eda Nick to hold on against these two titans of the league. As they battle away, Steve-O's closed right back up to Maddie, who does not have the greatest pace here in race number 3. As they head down through turn 1. If Steve-O just went for it on lap 1, this race could be entirely different. Well, at least I think so. As they head through the S's with a couple more laps to go here in COTA. It's been a great night of racing. Race 2 was absolutely phenomenal. Race 1 also bang its own challenges. And here under the light, well, not under the lights, but with lights on in the nighttime in Texas, it is looking like it's going to go Eda Nick's way. But I don't want to curse this one, as it's a winner I would love to see is once again Steve Reese so late on the brakes there compared to Maddie, even with the poor brakes of the McLaren. So maybe the Mustang struggling to pull it up through that slower speed segment. As Maddie is going to be under pressure from Steve-O here. Will he go down the inside? He was close enough to try and go for it, but he's going to stick behind. He's playing the patient game, as we've seen him do a lot of times this season. And there we go. He gets a good run off the corner. He puts his nose in, and now he goes down the inside. What a move this would be. He has the outside for the next complex. It's almost impossible to pull a move off around the outside here. Maddie parking the bus. Steve-O with a switchback. And what a move it is if he can completely stick it as they head through the triple rights. Maddie not easily giving this one up though as they head towards the third of the 3 apexes at the triple right. And Steve-O's not done just yet as they head into the penultimate corner. But Maddie with a stellar what a voice crack. With a stellar defense in, oh, I'm never going to let that voice crack down. With a stellar defense here, with a couple laps to go. Oh, that's career ending. Wow. Oh no. I haven't voice cracked during comms in a long time. Jesus. Anyway. Oh no, that's terrible. Anyway. As there we go, Steve-O is going to try again here at the uphill chicane. He gets the outside for the next bit, but he gets the inside for the left, and that could be moved on. Maddie's stellar defense, I don't think he's going to pay her dividends in the end here as they head towards the hairpin. Steve-O is going to put his nose on the inside. They're wheel to wheel as they head towards the hairpin. Maddie will now have the straight line speed and the exit, but Steve-O is currently in front. And Steve-O is now going to be under pressure from the almighty Mustang in a straight line. It's going to attack. This is where the McLaren is weaker than the Mustang. Down the straights, it's showing. Maddie goes down the inside to try and hold on to the P2. It's a critical position for the championship, but Steve-O gets the switch back. And there we go, he's up into P2, and he should be pressure free for now. Maddie will stay with and try and launch an attack again, but he has a couple of corners breathing room before Maddie tries to put the nose in again. And that is crucial for the championship. It's crucial for Steve-O, who's 100 points behind in the championship. At least before we went into the round, he's won 2 already. If he can finish ahead of Maddie again, I'm not sure what the championship will look like going into the final. But Maddie chasing as hard as she can now. The roles have reversed, but Steve-O is the quicker car out on the track. Eden Nick still leading the way, though, against the odds, and it looks like he will be your race winner without any severe disconnections or mistakes. And now it is just going to be the look between these two as they battle away. Steve-O versus Maddie for the P2 here in Circuit of the Americas. Steve-O runs out wide but gets a good slingshot. Maddie just tried to dive towards the apex as just difference in lines there, difference in drivers and cars, as Tash saying, did she know he's only 15? Yeah, we know. These two battling up. Oh no, that one voice crack has ended my career. Well, it was a good run. No, in all seriousness though, you should have heard me when I first started commentating. I was 13, high-pitched, but also every time I spoke, I would voice crack, and it was awful. That's the first time I've voice cracked, especially like that. I haven't voice cracked that badly in a year, and during Tash is already dead. But during commentary, I haven't had a big voice crack or even a small one for at least 6 months. It's because normally I just drink and drink and drink water. But I decided, no, you know what, I won't tonight. Not deliberately, but because there's so much racing going on. And I've finally paid the price. It happens. But yes, Mace, I am dead. Oh, Tash probably clipped it as well. Oh, and everybody who watches back the stream is gonna... No, no. No, no, no. Anyway. We should focus on the race here. Let's focus on the real thing. Steve-O has cleared Maddie by 1.5 seconds. So we're just gonna go to the man of the race here in race number 3. Steve-O was looking like he was going to go 3 for 3 here. But once again, we've had a driver come from nowhere to steal away a 3 from 3 performance in the Super Sprint format in Circuit of the Americas. Eden Nick has one more lap to negotiate in his BMW M4 GT3, whether it be tyres or pure pace with the same tyres, it does not matter. The credit still goes where credit is due. As long as Eden Nick can finish this lap, he is the man who disrupted Steve Reese here on his charge for 3 wins in a row tonight in Circuit of the Americas. It has been a drive here in race 3. He has pulled 4.2 seconds to Steve-O in race 3, and that is a very difficult feat to achieve. There are not many people who race who can pull that one off. And this purple and red BMW, who's been doing so well this season, but not quite at the top, has finally found a track where he has a groove, and it's showing. He's even pulling away from Steve Reese here on the final lap of the race when he's pushing and pushing and pushing to keep Maddie away. And that is absolutely huge for Eden Nick's confidence, I'm sure, and he is going to be absolutely ecstatic as he has one more sector to negotiate here in the Circuit of the Americas, and it's against the odds, but he's going to pull it off. He has 5 more corners to go on the lap. The 3 rights, the penultimate corner and the final corner. All 3 apexes here count as a separate corner. As through the penultimate corner and now towards the final corner. It's going to be Eden Nick's night. It's going to be Eden Nick's race 3. Steve-O might have taken 2 wins, but this is the most impressive one of the lot. Eden Nick crosses the line and takes the win in Texas for race 3 to finish the night. What a way to end it. Steve-O will come home P2. Maddie will come home P number 3. MJ, who had a very poor race 1 and 2, is going to get P4. So that's another driver with a standout performance. Longy gets P5. Lee Perkins, after going off on lap 1, will get P6. Hoggy will get P7. Those two were locked at the hip again here. P8 for Speed Racer, who is crossing the line now. Then James Parker gets P9. Swooper rounding the penultimate corner now, and he will get P number 9. Actually, Parker has a 30-second penalty. I think he's going to get P number 8 then. Let's see as he crosses the line. I think this will swap around between Swooper and Parker as he crosses the line. Or maybe not. I'm not sure what the gap was. We'll see in the final results. Exiled Reaper will come home in peace and in the Nissan GTR. Reaper crosses the line in the GTR to take home the P9. Tobasire gets... Wait, no, people are leaving the service, so I can't tell who's getting what. Tobasire gets something. P number 9, I want to say, but then I could have sworn that Reaper was just crossing the line for P9 or P10. Anyway, Tobasire will cross the line, and then Dave Ross will be the final one to take the flag here in Circuit of the Americas to round out what has been a spectacular night of racing here in FarGone for the penultimate round. And what a championship final round we have ahead of us. It's an Enduro, 70 minutes. It'll be very interesting to see what the standings look like going into the final race, but Matty or Stevo could take the championship going into the final race. Dave Ross crosses the line here in Circuit of the Americas to take the final place on the grid. So here is the final order. Eda Nick, Steve Reese. Eda Nick won by 5 seconds. What a race from him. And then Matty gets P3, MJ P4, Longy, and then Perkins, Hoggy, Speed Racer, Swooper, Parker, Reaper, Tobasire, Dave Ross, and Nyan Pyre. So that is going to be all for FarGone Racing GT Challenge Season 18 here in Circuit of the Americas. I have been Lindsay Model, joining FarGone in the comms box once again. And what a season it has been. There is still one more to go, and it is the big one. It is the one around Mount Panorama. And it is going to be a huge race. Thank you for watching, everybody, and good night.